Greetings metalheads, welcome to another edition of the Friday 13th YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about a new album released by the band Hatriot, who are releasing their new album on the 22nd of July 2022, and it's entitled The Vale of Shadows, released on Massacre Records. Now, the band were formed originally in 2011 in San Francisco as a thrash metal band. Now, in 2011 the band released a demo tape as a 5-piece band. This would consist of Steve Zetro Sousa, the singer from Exodus, and his son Cody Zetro Sousa on bass guitar. Also in the band was Costa Dub V on guitar. We'd also have Alex Brent on drums. Also the band would feature Drew Gage on guitar. Now, in 2012 the band signed to Massacre Records and released the single The Violent Times of My Dark Passenger. And in 2013 the band would release their first album for Massacre Records, Heroes of the Origin. This would also have a lineup change. This would feature Cody's brother Nick Sousa on drums and also Miguel Esperanza on guitar. After Steve's departure from Exodus, he formed this band with his sons, and this debut album was really good. There's definitely a vibe of Testament in there and also Exodus. Now, we know it's going to be hard for Steve to get rid of the Exodus vibe because he was in the band for such a long time. Now, listening to the debut album very briefly, I just have to say it sounds a bit like Fabulous Disaster or Pleasures of the Flesh. Really catchy album, some really good playing here. Now, Hatriot also released a second album in 2014 called Dawn of the New Centurion. This would feature a new guitarist, again another replacement. This would be Justin J.C. Cole. And in 2019 the band released the next album for Massacre Records, which was entitled From the Days Unto Darkness. This was the first album that didn't feature Steve Zetro. This would feature Cody handling the vocals and bass, and also they had a new guitarist, which was called Kevin Patterson. So I think Steve left the band. I think his sons actually fired him. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I remember reading something about his sons firing his father. That must have been pretty strange, being sat by your sons, living in the same household. And as each album progressed, they all seemed to have the same Exodus Testament vibe. Nothing wrong with that. Some great bands there. You know, they had the punch, the pack, the power, the vibe, really good, strong Bay Area thrash. And so the new album, The Vale of Shadows, still remains the same lineup from the previous album. So the band are going really strong, and this album is a really kick-ass album. Some fantastic, heavy, brutal songs. Like I said, very much like Testament and Exodus, but there's also other bands in there like Violence. Now, the artwork was done by an artist called Paulio Giargardi, who's a really good artist. And looking at the album cover, it's like a cave with like a castle or some fort inside. And looking at it, it kind of reminds me of a Dan Seagrave cover, because Dan used to do some really interesting covers back in the day. He worked with bands like Entombed, Resurrection, and some really great bands. Now, the album was produced by the band and also mixed and mastered by one Jorg Tiger, who has done a really fantastic job on this album. Now, the album comes with 11 songs and clocks in at 42 minutes 36 seconds. And the CD comes as a digipack, and there's a limited edition of the vinyl, so if you're going to get the vinyl, grab it soon because it's not going to be around for very long. Now, I have noticed on this new album the music has gone slightly different. It's more of a hardcore thrash death metal, so there's some new metal influences in there. Now, Cody's vocals are very much like his father's. He's got the vibe of Steve in there, but there's also some new influences. Musically on this album, like I said, there's a slightly different direction. There's little hints of Arch Enemy in the music on this album. Also bands like As I Lay Dying, and maybe a hint of Suffocation, New York death metal act. It's definitely an album for the new school metalheads out there, so if you like the modern thrash death metal stuff, you're going to probably like this album, but there is hints of old school in there as well. So listening to the first song, Horns and Halos, is very much new school. Like I said, there is little hints of old school in there, but you've got the vibe of bands like Soilwork, Arch Enemy. So for the second song, it's called The Hate Inside. It's very much like old school Steve Zetro vocals, but there's also some death metal kind of growling in there. You know, the modern style stuff mixed with old school. Me, I'm particularly not really into a lot of that stuff, but you know, if it's your thing, you're going to like this song. Despite the vocals, I really like the song. There's some really good groovy song. It's heavy, it packs a punch, but like I said, the vocals, this crossover stuff, a lot of it doesn't do it for me. Preference choice, you know, I think it's okay, but you know, you probably think it's a fantastic song. Now, the third song is called Forceful Balance. This is a pretty cool song, and if you close your eyes, you'd think Steve Zetro was actually singing, but it's not, it's his son Cody. Now this song also has some blast beats and a little bit of death metal, black metal, so it's heading towards the black metal vibe, this song, but it's still a good song and it's well put together. Now the next song is called Venomous and Vile. It's a really cool song. It kind of reminds me of Suffocation, like I said, the band from New York, the death metal band. It's got the vibe of their music, but it's also got the vocals of Steve Zetro, even though it's not, it's his son, Cody. So it's a really cross between Exodus meets Suffocation. So I'm just going to tell you briefly about the songs on the album. So the next song is called Clemency Denied. Then we have 25th Hour, Only Red Remains, Mark of the Tyrant, Vale of Shadows, Murderous Tranquility, and Hymn for the Wicked. Now it's a pretty good album, I don't mind it. Like I said, it's old school meets new school, so if you like the influences of Testament, Exodus, and also bands like Arch Enemy or Suffocation, you're really going to like this. I'm going to give this album 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a pretty good album, and if you like the more modern stuff, I think you're going to like this more than I will, so you'll probably give it 4.5 out of 5. So it is a good album, don't get me wrong. I just feel like some of the vocals don't really appeal to me, but it's still well put together. So the album's called The Vale of Shadows, released on Massacre Records on the 22nd of July 2022. So thanks for watching this review, and at the end of this review I'm going to put a promotional video for you guys to check out. It'll be in a link, so check out the link, listen to the song. If you like it, you know what you're going to buy in the future. So it's coming out very soon, so thanks for watching, metalheads. Enjoy the review. I'll speak to you all soon. Be safe, stay metal.